Okay. Well, I heard a story just recently, and it was a really nice story, and I thought I'd pass it on. Just recently. I think it was this morning. Oh, yeah. Brain's working good today. Hello.
You were silent, I forgot.
Oh gosh, I did too.
We had to all take a minute and put it on silent.
I don't have to bother because nobody calls me.
No, I'm okay.
Well, the few people who would call me are here today. This woman went shopping, and she had to take her 2 little kids with her, like a 4-year-old boy and a 2-year-old little girl. And the little boy wanted to take his brand new green squirt gun with him, empty. So she let him. I can understand how it is. You get a new toy, you want it. Don't have to leave it at home. They went through, did all their shopping. She got to the checkout, and she's putting her stuff on the conveyor belt. And the little boy wanted to help, so he handed the squirt gun to the little girl to hold and started trying to do what he can to help unload. And some lady standing behind them said, that's just not right. And she said, what, you talking to me? And the lady said, well, yeah, point to the gun. That's just not right. And the mother said, well, yeah, but you never know. Playing with a gun today, one day he might grow up to become a police officer or a soldier. He might stand up and defend us. And the woman said, well, there has to be another way. So the mother turned her back and kept unloading, and the other woman used a foul word, beginning with the letter F. The woman turned back around to her, couldn't believe she heard it. Man standing behind this woman was shocked. So the mother said to her, excuse me, did you just cuss in front of my little children? And the woman just didn't say anything. And the mother said, really? There had to have been a better way. Now, the sad part about it is that the other woman then left that line, went to another line that was moving faster, checked out, and got out. And as soon as she was out of the store, all kinds of people came up to this mother and said, you did good. You did the right thing. Where was all of those people when she was defending her child? There's a very old saying that all it takes for evil to flourish is good people to do nothing. Well, tomorrow we remember an awful lot of good people who sacrificed their lives. Tomorrow's Memorial Day. And it's a shame that the most part, when you hear anybody talking about tomorrow, all you hear is it's the kickoff to summer fun. Starts this weekend. Well, most people don't realize it, but that up until the mid-1860s, right after the Civil War, there was no Memorial Day. Some towns where probably like Revolutionary War soldiers were buried probably did something to honor them, but it was nothing organized. And to tell the truth, when you look at the number of deaths from the Revolution, it was a very small number. The number of deaths probably from one battle of the Civil War equaled all the deaths of the Revolution. And suddenly, in the mid-1800s, 1860s, there were several 100,000 soldiers who had given their lives. And so various towns decided we should do something about it. One of the first towns, I looked this up, one of the first towns was Charleston, South Carolina. And it was held at the former, well, it was starting to become the current horse racetrack there. That racetrack had been a Confederate prison during the Civil War, and there was a mass grave of Union soldiers, unidentified, buried there. The celebration was held on May 5th, 1866, no, 1865. By liberated slaves, honoring the Union soldiers who had sacrificed their lives for their freedom. Often you'll hear that Waterloo, New York is the official place where Memorial Day started, but that's because they were the first to do it on May 5th, a year later. A year later, a whole lot of towns started doing it. And May 5th, I had said that Charleston did it on May 5th. It wasn't May 5th, actually. It was later in May. Waterloo did it on May 5th and proclaimed that it is officially the date when we remember our honored war dead. So all other towns started saying May 5th worked for us. And those that joined in honored their soldiers. A few years later, General John A. Logan retired. He was head of what was called the Grand Army of the Republic, a veteran organization. Decided that this was a really good concept, and he proclaimed it Decoration Day. And he proclaimed that his nationwide organization would do it on May 30th, and May 30th became the day that we remembered our honored war dead by decorating their graves. Even still, it wasn't very common a practice. It became more popular after World War I, several 100,000 more dead. Unfortunately, a lot of them were still over in Europe, in cemeteries all across Europe. After World War II, there were millions of dead. And a lot of them left their bodies buried on islands that most of you probably have never even heard of. Pele-Layu, for example. Some of the fiercest fighting of the Pacific War took place there. I remember Bob Hope wrote a really good book called Don't Shoot, It's Only Me. His adventures leading up to World War II and afterwards, and all the things he did. And he was in the Pacific, island hopping with his Hope's gypsies, is what he called them, whoever he could grab to go on him with these USO tours. And he was told that there's this tiny little island with some troops on it, Marines. And Hope said, well, how come they're not on our itinerary? I said, well, it's this really, really tiny island. We could only get small planes there. And Hope said, well, that's me, Jerry Kaluna, was a comedian, and he grabbed a guitarist from the band. He said, the three of us could fit in a small plane. And they said, seriously? And he said, absolutely. So they flew him out to this tiny little island that was top secret at that time. The Marines, 1st Division, were sitting there being retrained. They had just fought, I forget what it was, I think it was Iwo Jima. Been badly battered, lost a large percentage of their division. Had gone to this teeny little island to be re-outfitted, new troops, retrained. He landed, and he said calling this a runway was being generous. They landed, got out, did their full show, just the three of them. Got back on the plane, flew home. Sorry, it's